Hey, what's going on, you guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how to create a custom metahuman with clothing inside Unreal 5.6. Alright, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and first do a 3D scan of my face. I actually did a really bad job, but that's okay. But before we get inside Unreal, just make sure we have Metahuman set up. In your launcher, you want to make sure that under Options, that you have this checked on, Metahuman Creator Core Data. Check that on, click Apply, and you will go into the plugins and just make sure all of the Metahuman plugins are turned on. Metahuman Creator, Metahuman Core Tech, all of these. I've imported my face mesh as a static mesh here. Show you guys. Boom. I know, it's kind of a weird expression. Go into your folder, right click, Metahuman Identity. Name this my face mesh. Double click into this. Dock it right here. Okay, so in the Metahuman Identity window, you can then click Create Components from Mesh. Alright, and then you'll just search up your mesh. That's pretty cool. You can also from footage. But anyways, we're going to go from Mesh. My face mesh. Okay, once you've got your mesh in here, it will look like this. And you're just going to navigate so that you're facing yourself. Alright, and then you're going to go ahead and click this little icon here to promote a frame for tracking. Actually, yeah, I guess you got to select the neutral pose and then click that. Alright, once you've done that, and you can also click up here, promote frame, that works too. I'm going to go ahead and right click right here and go to, I think it's auto tracking. No, track markers. Boom. And here you can, make some corrections if needed. For me, I'm just going to kind of leave it as is. And I will then click Metahuman Identity Solve. Once you've done that, you're going to click Auto Rig Metahuman Identity. And I guess you've got to sign in. And now you'll get this pop-up window saying skeletal mesh with an embedded metahuman DNA is now available in your content browser. Alright, so bam, it's created these assets right here. And I'll just go ahead and save that. Perfect. So now with these assets created, I'm going to go ahead and right click again, go to Metahuman, and now you're going to go and create your Metahuman creator asset. Okay, so once you've created this, double click into it. Go ahead and enable whatever this wants you to enable. Okay, so now I'm in my Metahuman Creator asset, and if you've already messed with Metahuman Creator, this is pretty familiar to you. But yeah, just that first step was what was necessary, because now you're gonna come in here, and you're gonna go to Conform, and then from Template. Okay, and then here you're going to select the skeletal mesh that was created earlier. And then go ahead and hit conform. And we've got my beautiful face mesh. See how my eyes got a little droopy? And that's how you know it's me. Okay. And now you're just gonna, yeah, get that thing to go away. And now we're pretty much, okay, restart required to apply new settings. Okay, do whatever Unreal tells you to do, restart. All right, so I had to restart Unreal because it prompted me to do so, but I'm back in my Metahuman creator asset. And here we have our mesh on our Metahuman. Now I'm just gonna go through the general, steps of messing around with the body shape, and we're gonna apply materials and do the customization that you want for your body shape. So for me, I'm just gonna go to model, of course, give myself a lot of muscle. My height, I'll be honest, I'm pretty short, but I am not that fat. I'm actually pretty skinny, so I'm gonna make some adjustments. This is whoa. It's really cool. But I look really scary right now. So you guys can go ahead and make the adjustments. My arms are kind of short. I'm gonna make my arms a little shorter. And my thighs will be a little bit skinnier. Alright, so you're gonna go through that and make all the changes. My face, I'm gonna kind of just, my head, I'm gonna keep it kind of the way it is. Although I will make my, you can drag this. No, you gotta go to sculpt. So if you go to sculpt, you can kind of press your head in a little bit and make some adjustments to the shape of your head. Maybe to the ears as well. I don't have elf ears or anything, but here I would just make some adjustments. Even change the scale of the head, teeth and eyelashes. You guys can change the those settings. I'm gonna go with definitely some eyelashes. I actually have pretty long eyelashes, so I'm gonna go with that one. And then go to materials. Now it's going to give you your skin tone. Ooh, that looks scary. Oh, damn. Okay. Damn, that was kind of scary, actually. My eyes. No, my eyes are like light brown. So my skin tone is a little bit lighter. Although in the summer I do get pretty dark. Okay. So one thing that is not that customized yet is like I want to maybe change like the texture here in terms of like there's too many freckles, which I can't really seem to get rid of. I mean, even these freckles, that doesn't get rid of them, because I'm already on the most blank version of that, but there's still a couple, or I guess not freckles, they're moles. So I haven't figured a way out to get rid of that stuff. But we'll kind of just skip that. I definitely don't wear any makeup. Go to the hair. I actually really like these twisted braids, although I'm not sure how this is going to look. So you can go ahead and add your hairstyle here. I know I'm not going to show you guys in this video, but there's a way to create these grooms, or I think there's a way. I mean, I haven't seen any demos of that, but it's nice to see that there's new hairstyles now. Okay, now my eyebrows. You'll go ahead and select some eyebrows here. So now that we have our metahuman created, you're going to go up to metahuman character and click on export combined skeletal mesh. And go ahead and just save it in here. I'm just going to my face mesh combine. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so with the combined mesh, we're going to zero that out. And by the way, I'm going to, give props to Franco. I'm going to link his channel below. Because I learned this from him. I believe he was the first person to post a video on how to create a custom resizable outfit in Unreal. So with this centered, I'm going to bring in the skeletal mesh that, or the static mesh, whatever it might be, of the jacket that I'm going to be creating, that I'm going to be attaching to my metahuman. Alright guys, so I'm gonna choose this fantasy characters pack. I think it's still free, but you guys can download whatever you want. Alright, so now to add the clothing, I've already imported actually a asset pack. It's called the Fantasy Characters Pack. Unfortunately, it's not free anymore. It was one of the free ones, but you can import your own asset pack as long as it has the clothing pieces as skeletal meshes, or it could be static mesh as well. Doesn't really matter. In my case, I've got them in here as skeletal meshes. And in particular, what I'm very interested in is this one. It's called Knight Armor Belt. But I also want this piece, which goes with it. And the reason why I've centered my metahuman combined mesh into the origin is because now it's very easy for me to just center these pieces as well. And I will have them exactly where I want them. So now what I'm going to do is go into the modeling mode. And you can select each of these pieces, go to actor, convert to static mesh. I'm gonna go ahead and just save them into my metahumans folder here. I've made a folder called outfit. So SM armor belt. Save that one. And then there's the knight belt. Same thing. Convert to static mesh. Name this knight belt. Go ahead and save it in here. Okay, so now we've got two static meshes. And now you can actually get rid of these skeletal meshes, and I'm going to bring, save of course. I'm going to bring my two pieces of static mesh in here. And I'm going to zero them out so that they're here. I'm going to move them into place. And actually, I'm going to combine them into one static mesh. So to do that, I will go here under Xform, under Modeling Tools, and click with both of them selected. Go Merge, and yeah, first input object, meaning whichever one was the first one. Armor belt. And basically, it changed the armor belt so that it's a combined asset. So if I pull that out, see how they're both combined now instead of separate? Actually, it already combined that, so that was basically the combined asset. Nice. And now you can kind of mess with the scale a little bit if you want to. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. I just drop it down, maybe a little bit bigger here. Actually, maybe not too big, because we'll fix that through a different method, because I think that's okay, because I don't want the actual belt right here to be too wide. Alright, so now with a combined static mesh, we're going to go back into the modeling tools, and we're going to kind of fit the outfit to the metahuman. So what I'm going to do is go to mesh, actually deform, and you can use either of these, dynamic sculpt. I'm going to go ahead and go with that, and make sure you have enable remeshing turned off so that it doesn't mess it up. And then with the brush type as move, I can kind of just pull these up a little bit. So this one is not too bad. There's not, you know, a whole lot of adjustments that are needed. But yours, it might be a little bit different. In that case, you're gonna have to use the Dynasculpt or the other one to kind of get things in place. You know what? Let me just, maybe I will cover up my crotch area here. And you can use S and D to make the brush smaller. And by the way, if you're, you know, a 3D modeler, you can also do this in Blender or Maya and then bring that asset as a static mesh back into Unreal, right? Using the same method, but you would just do it in a DCC. But here we're doing everything in Unreal, as I promised. And go ahead and click accept. And maybe my ass shouldn't be hanging out either. Vertex sculpt. You can kind of do the same with this one. But vertex sculpt, it's more, you can, you know, use different sculpting things, smooth things out and all that. But just be careful as you do this, because, you know, it's gonna end up deforming the mesh more, right? Like I'm already doing here. And I'm just gonna go back to my move. Just gotta close this up so my butt is not showing. It's not hanging out. Because that would be embarrassing, right? My ass was hanging out like that. I mean, this is like a, you know, we are living in the primeval age. Yeah, let me go back to Dynasculpt, because I do want to bring this stuff in more, because my waist is too small. And now I'm going to go to Xform, and I just want to make sure the pivot is correct. World origin. Accept. And also I'm going to bake transform, actually. Bake transform, just so that all of these are, you know, scale goes to 111. And then my pivot point, that should be correct. Now with all that, I can save it. Okay, so now that we're done with our static mesh, we're going to turn it back into the skeletal mesh. So go here, right click, and you will convert to skeletal mesh. And we want to use existing skeletal mesh here. And you'll select basically the combined mesh that we created earlier. And go ahead and convert. Bam. So now we're back to skeletal mesh. So we went to static mesh just so that we can do the modeling stuff. Now we would bring it back to the skeletal mesh. You can open that up. And if you go to show bones, see that the bones are here. However, you'll notice that the weight paint is not on there. So the way we get our weight paint, we're just going to click on weight paint or paint weights, or actually edit weights, and we're going to do a weight transfer. All right, so we're going to find our skeletal mesh, the same one that we combined earlier. So with the skeletal mesh selected, I'm going to click transfer weights, and you'll get a little notification saying skin weights transferred, and we'll say accept. And you can fix that up too, you know, like if it didn't look completely right to you, but it should have gone over pretty good. All right, go ahead and save that. Okay, so now with our new skeletal mesh weight painted and everything, we're going to create a new asset. So I'm going to right click and search up cloth. We're going to create a cloth asset. Okay, and we'll name this armor belt. Open this up, and we're going to delete this whole thing right here, whatever they have here. We don't need that. And we're just going to create our own simple little node system here. And it's just going to be a skeletal mesh import to a cloth asset terminal. Okay, cloth asset terminal. With the skeletal mesh import selected, we're going to get our skeletal mesh, and you guessed it, the one that we created, the skeletal mesh armor belt. And you should be able to see it pop up in here. Okay, so this is all we have to do, and we're going to save this, exit out of it, and we're going to create another asset. And this one is called outfit asset. Okay, name it the same way, armor belt. And here we want to select resizable outfit. Okay, so here when we open up the outfit asset, we're going to come down here to data flow, and we're going to check that on. Size outfit source. We'll add an element here, and we're going to select the source asset, and it's going to be the cloth asset that we created earlier. And source body parts, we're going to select the skeletal mesh now of the combined skeletal mesh that we had from the very beginning. Right, the one that we've always been using, we'll select that as the source for the body. Okay, that took a while, but yeah, once that is selected, we're done here. We're going to save that, get out of that. And now we're going to create another asset. This is called the Metahuman wardrobe. So just type in wardrobe here, Metahuman wardrobe item. Call it WI armor belt. Okay. And here we're going to add the asset that we created earlier, the OA armor belt, the outfit asset. And in the pipeline, we're going to make sure we select the Metahuman default Metahuman outfit pipeline. Okay, and then once you have the Metahuman outfit pipeline selected here, just unscroll that and make sure that the editor pipeline is also set to the Metahuman outfit editor pipeline. All right, and now save that. Can exit that. Now we're ready for essentially the final step here. We're going to go back into our Metahuman character asset here where we were, creating the Metahuman. And now we're going to go to our hair and cloth section here. and we will add our asset that we created, the wardrobe asset. Let's go find that. The Metahuman wardrobe item, drag that into this part right here. And now, if I double click on that, it will put this piece of wardrobe onto my Metahuman. And you can see here, you can actually put on multiple pieces of outfits. So let's just say you create the upper body outfit as well, right? You could have that as two separate pieces, but that's how you would do it. If you want to remove this, have it selected and click remove. But essentially that's how you would put on multiple pieces that you want it to be separate. Okay. So here, all right, one quick thing I wanted to adjust here. I wanted to change my lip color. It looks like I have lipstick on. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out where to find it. So if you go to materials and under skin and scroll down a little bit, now I can just lower the redness, or actually the saturation is really what I want to lower. I think 0.3 is good. Lightness 0.4. 0.4. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. And also, I don't need to be wearing this tank top because I'm living in the primeval age. Primeval? Yes. Boom. I need to be shirtless like a barbarian. I don't know why there's no nipples though. That's something they need to fix. I've got no nipples. Okay, but this looks pretty good. I look like I'm from the primeval age. My underwear is still kind of showing right here, but that's fine. I think, you know, the main idea is to show you guys that it can be done. This is how it's done. So now I'm going to go and create full rig. Okay, so after you've created a full rig, you'll go into assemble and make sure you have UE Cine if you're using it inside Unreal. If you're exporting to a DCC, you can go ahead and choose that, or UEFN. And root directory is going to go into Metahumans, and it's going to be called, you know what, let me call him Caveman. Alright, and click assemble. Alright, so after a very long assembly, oh, I guess it wasn't that long, it was like maybe a few minutes. I've got my blueprint here in the Metahumans folder that it's created outside of, you know, my other Metahuman folder, Metahumans. And drag this guy in, and now I've got my Metahuman. Cool. I can drag my Metahuman into the level sequence and start animating, or apply mocap and all that. So this is great. Alright guys, leave a comment, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.